Big thank you to this episode's sponsors, OpenPhone, the #1 business phone system that streamlines and scales your customer communications. Get 20% off of your first 6 months at openphone.com/earn. Shopify, the e-commerce platform that I trust for Glossy. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/happy. Constant Contact. Constant Contact's award-winning marketing platform is here to make marketing way easier and way more effective. Get a free 30-day trial when you go to constantcontact.com.
If you know on the other side of this, you will have everything you ever wanted, would you sit there? I'm going to take the bet on me. Within a few weeks, it was bringing in more money every month than my day job was. I was like, what is going on here?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Earn Your Happy podcast. Today's episode is another throwback, one of my favorite conversations. And you guys know that I've had this podcast for 8 years. So if you're newer to the podcast, I have literally recorded over 1,400 episodes, you guys. So I want to make sure that you don't miss any of these super amazing, juicy conversations that I have chosen just for you, because I can't tell you about the wealth of knowledge that is in this freaking catalog of throwbacks. I don't want you to miss it. It's truly what has changed my life and helped me on my journey of growth in entrepreneurship, in relationships, in personal development. And I know that these messages are going to hit you in the same kind of powerful way that they hit me. So I hope that you love this one as much as I do, and let's get started. So on the podcast today, we have got Kat Norton. She's also known on the internet as Miss Excel. Since launching Miss Excel in 2020, listen to this, guys. She's grown her TikTok and Instagram audience to over 1 million followers. And this is all teaching how to have fun and save time with Excel. So if you're sitting there thinking, okay, I've got this thing, but I think it's too niche, or I want to be talking about, helping people transform their mind or their body or whatever it is that you want to be doing. If you think that you can't grow an audience, I just have to stop you right now, because if she can grow to 1 million people talking about Excel, you can do it too. So beyond her success with her brand and membership, she's also into manifestation, meditation, and inner child work. So on this show, we talked all about how she knew she was meant for massive success, even when she was living with her parents and didn't have the proof of her success yet. She also shares the practices she did to prepare her nervous system for the platform and influence that she now has, creating what, especially from the outside, looks like overnight success. And she says it was not. She literally had to do all of the internal work before she got there. And she's going to cue you in on how to do that. I had so much fun on this conversation and how to literally shape your reality. Plus, if you know me and you've been listening to the podcast, you know that one of my focuses this year is to be organized. And Kat recently launched Miss Optimize, giving you resources to productivity, mindset, and business hacks to work smarter and feel happier. Here we go. Kat, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome to Earn Your Happy.
Thank you so much for having me. I am beyond excited to be here today.
Okay, so I heard about you from my girlfriend, Lindsay Schwartz, because she interviewed you and she literally couldn't even wait to tell me. She was like, this was one of my favorite interviews. You have to interview her. And I was like, oh, how do I not know this woman? Because you have an amazing following. You do a couple different things. So this is really cool because you are known for teaching Excel. Okay, tell me about this. We have to break this down. How did you get into that? And then we're going to switch roles a little bit into this other person that you are.
Yes. So really, the journey actually began back in March of 2020.
Okay, 2020.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
When all the things were shifting.
Yeah.
And I found myself back in my childhood bedroom of my parents' house. I was 27 years old, buried in student debt, being like, what do I want to do with my life?
Yeah.
And I was having one of those moments where I'm like, okay, I'm at my corporate job. It pays the bills, but this isn't lighting me up. This isn't fulfilling me in a creative perspective. And I just feel like there's something more that I could be doing. So I started diving deep into inner work from all different modalities. I was kind of just diving headfirst into the water.
Had you ever done like personal development or anything before? Was this like what drew you to that? What made you find it?
It was pretty new to me.
Okay.
Really around 2019, I first went to Morocco on a Kundalini yoga retreat.
Okay.
And that's kind of what first opened my eyes.
Oh, that'll crack you open. You're like from zero to Kundalini.
Yeah. I like to do things intensely in life. And so I did that. And that definitely opened up my eyes to like, okay, there's some other things going on here beyond the veil.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, we need to get my logical Excel brain on board with all of this though. So I started diving into the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he does an awesome job of really demystifying the mystical and backing it up with science. And that is really what my little logical mind needed to be like, okay, this, think positive and good things will happen narrative and really back it up with some science. So I read the first 100 pages of his book in March of 2020, which is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Yeah, I love that one.
Amazing. And in those first 100 pages, it just shifted the way I was looking at the world. So that was really, getting the brain on board. Then simultaneously, I was like, all right, I'm going to dabble in this inner child work realm, subconscious reprogramming, and see what this is all about. So I did, Lacey Phillips has a program called To Be Magnetic, and I'm a Capricorn, and it's a really nice structured way to do inner child work because a lot of the space just really felt like to me kind of out there. And like, I wanted to know, like, do steps A, B, C, and D and get to this result and just trying to add a little bit of that structure to it. So that's something that worked really well for me. And I was, twice a day popping on my headphones before work, after work, and just reprogramming my subconscious, reprogramming different memories that were holding me in place. And then the third thing I layered in was more of the Kundalini yoga. And a lot of people might not be familiar with Kundalini.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say, give everyone a little rundown. Yeah. They're like, what the heck?
Kundalini is really my meditation of choice because it's not something where, you have to sit there and just like close your eyes and try to blank out your mind. Where for me, like my brain, I got my brain scanned. I'm like always in high beta. So it's a lot's going on upstairs. And that was always really hard for me. And so I kind of wasn't really meditating as often. Where Kundalini yoga, there's just a lot going on. You have your eyes in a certain gaze, you're doing certain mudras, like hand positions, you're chanting. So there's things coming out your mouth. You're like, there's just a lot happening.
Gives your brain something to focus on with each thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's all different types. So I was doing a prosperity meditation every day, right? When I was starting this out.
While you're in your parents' house.
Oh yeah. I'm just chanting. Yeah. I'm like, let's bring it, team. And
get me out of this house.
Yeah. Like it's time to go. Somebody. So I really started diving into the Kundalini yoga, and it does a really good job at moving subconscious thought forms too on more of a in the brain level. So it's a lot of it. It's not something like I'm going to sit and focus on that time when I was 4. You're just doing like an addiction meditation that's going through and breaking addictive thought patterns. And there's so many different angles to that. So really between the 3 of those for me, I was just like overhauling a ton of stuff from March, April, May. So then by the time it got to June, I was on the phone with one of my best friends, and she's a projector in human design. If you've gone down the human design rabbit hole, projectors are like very much visionaries, and they're really good at like pulling down creative thoughts. And I was like, I feel like I could create some kind of side hustle. Maybe if I had some more income, I could move out of my parents' house and, start doing something more with my life. And she was like, well, what if you put the Excel tips on TikTok? Because a little backstory, on the side of my day job, I was teaching Excel for fun, for like an Amazon gift card.
I love you.
I was like, I just started at the company. I was trying to, build my brand there. And I was like, you know what? A lot of people need Excel help. I'm really good at Excel. I can help people. So I built out an internal training program. And next thing you know, they're flying me around the US hosting these live Excel sessions.
Wow.
And I just love to do it. So she was like, what if you took these tips and put them on TikTok? And internally I was like, TikTok,
Were you scared
I can't just make
like...
a TikTok. Oh yeah. I had so much resistance to TikTok in particular because, I saw my friends on it. I'm like, I'm going to read a book. I'm not going to go on TikTok. I had such like preconceived notions about it. So internally, initially I like pulled back and was like, no, I can't just go on TikTok. I have a corporate
Did you even
job.
think it would work? Were you like, Excel and TikTok, will this even work?
Yeah, I didn't even have the app on my phone. Like, I didn't even know how it worked. I felt like such a granny.
Yeah.
And so, but when she said it, the interesting part was, it was like this lightning bolt moment where I saw the content. And I just saw this Excel screen above my head to the Drake song, Toozy Slide, left foot up, right foot slide, to the left and the right function. Like when she said it, it was just like, boom, I saw this. And I'm like, what? And so I get off the phone with her and I can't stop thinking about this idea. I download TikTok. I look, nobody's teaching Excel on it. And I'm like, do people just not like Excel on TikTok? Or like, am I going to be the first to do this?
Right.
And I'm digging around. There's nothing there in the Excel space. And then I kept thinking about, I'm like, well, you know, I don't really know how to video edit. How does one get an Excel screen above their head, right? Like, I don't know how to do that. So I spent 2 days kind of like thinking, mulling over the idea, and was actually having so much resistance in the body because my brain was like, you can't make TikTok, but my gut was like, make the TikTok.
Yeah.
So never forget, Friday rolls around. My schedule magically opens, like meetings just falling off the calendar. And I had this block of time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do a dry run of this Excel thing and see if I can get this screen above my head. Because, you know, if I can't even get the screen above my head, this idea is out the window. And so I didn't even do hair and makeup because this was early pandemic days. Your girl's not putting on makeup for nothing. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to, you know, grab my little ring light. And I stood in front of the ring light that I had for like meetings and stuff. And I made this like dancing video to left foot up, right foot slide. I'm just like pointing. And then I made a Zoom call. I made a fake Zoom call and I recorded my screen doing the Excel clicking. And then I Googled easiest video editor. And I came up with WeVideo. And I watched a 40-minute YouTube video, taught myself how to edit, and was like, okay. So I took the two pieces, I put them together and was like, wait, this is actually pretty cool. Like this, like, I kind of dig this. So I'm like, all right. Now, meanwhile, it's a Friday night. Like my boyfriend's over, my mom's, they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like doing full glam in the bathroom. And they're like, it's the middle of pandemic. Like you're not going anywhere. What are you doing? I'm like, you know, pumping myself up. And I TikTok. I got this. And then I go into the room and I just knocked out like 10 videos.
Wow.
And then, and I sat in my room that weekend and I edited them. And then on June 7th, I posted my first one. Now, meanwhile, before this, I YouTubed the TikTok algorithm. I'm like, if there's these like 12-year-olds making millions of dollars on TikTok, like best
Mama
believe
can too.
I'm gonna figure this shit out. So I go on YouTube and I like watch some videos, I like post at this time, you know, like the quantitative stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna game this. I got this. And I start posting one video a day. And now, yes, I had worked through a lot of my stuff to get to that point, but there was still some resistance there. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to tell anybody about this. This is going to be my secret TikTok account. And if it flops, like nobody's going to know. Right. It's fine. So only my boyfriend and my mother knew. So I started posting one video a day. And by the fourth video, I had that DMX song, X Gon' Give It To You.
Oh, yeah.
To the X lookup function.
And he did.
And next thing you know, the video reaches 100,000 views.
Oh, God.
And it gets pushed to all these people I know at work because it's somehow like synced to my contacts. And I'm like, oh my God.
X gonna give it to you.
Yeah, like X gave it to me. And I'm freaking out. And all of a sudden it gets pushed to all these people I know. I'm getting like messages from people at work. I'm like, oh, like the vulnerability hangover was strong.
You're like, I didn't know you liked DMX.
Yeah. And like, meanwhile though, I still had like, you know, 6 more videos to post. So I just kept going one a day. By video number 6, the CEO of an IT company reaches out in my comments and is like, hey, I really love your teaching style. I'm looking to create G Suite training videos. So like the Google version of everything I was doing for students, parents, and teachers because schools were going digital. Yeah. And he had this company helping all these schools in Massachusetts. And he's like, we need help. We need content. So, you know, clearly I'm a Microsoft gal.
You're like, I've made 6 videos. I am your girl.
Pro. You can hire me. So yeah, you know, and I didn't really know Google as well, but I taught myself that and I got on the phone with him and I never forget, he asked what my hourly rate was. like, I've never had an hourly rate before. So I was like, the biggest number I could muster up in the moment, I was like, $100 an hour was like what I can muster. And I'm like, he'll negotiate me to 50 and I'll take it.
Yeah.
And that was, so I go in, you know, because I'd backed into too. I was like, my dream is to bring in enough money from this side hustle so that like I could pay for our future mortgage for a house on Long Island, because that was the vision at the time. And so I'm like, I want like $5,000 a month. In my head, that was like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, like $100 an hour. I'm backing into the numbers. I get on a meeting. I tell this man $100 an hour, just straight face. I've been on TikTok for 6 days. And he literally was like, okay.
He's like, yes.
And I'm like, what?
He's like, we budgeted 5,000.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. So at this point, I you know, he sends me a shirt in the mail, a laptop. I'm like, this is official. Things are happening here. So at this point, I'm working 40, 50 hours a week at my day job. I'm doing another probably like 10-ish a week building the content for Miss Excel. And at this point, you know, obviously that's not making money, but I'm like, you know, it's helping people, it's getting some traction. Yeah. And then I did another like 10, 15 hours a week for this guy on the side selling videos back to him.
Okay. So you're pretty busy.
I'm booking it. But, you know, I'm super hyped up for what I'm doing. I'm just really lit up by everything. And it was just like the most exciting time of my life.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, 'cause I was truly living in the quantum field. I did not know what was going to happen next. And within the next few weeks, I had my first video on TikTok go viral. I looked down at my phone. It is like nonstop buzzing. I've never had this experience in my life. Like, it was just buzzing. And so I pick it up, and every time I pull down to refresh, it was like 15 new followers, like every second. And I was like, what's happening? And I look on my TikTok, and I had this video get 3.7 million views within a few days. I look down, I have 100,000 followers.
Wow.
It's like 3 weeks deep. Now, if you had seen any of my prior social media content on my personal page, you'd be like, all right, this girl is not an influencer, clearly. And so I was just kind of, you know, flying by the seat of my pants, riding it out, trying to figure out what to do. And it was crazy because right after that, like, I was, you know, people were talking to me about it, obviously, because more people found out, and they're like, you know, TikTok is about to get banned in the US. So like, you're kind of screwed with your little business. Like, people are giving me all this shit. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just going to make an Instagram and hedge my risk here. So I go on, I build an Instagram account, and then I kept going viral on Instagram too. And like, it would be like 50,000 followers. And they just start like stacking. And the content just starts exploding on both platforms because of this element of polarity that it created, because people are like, what is this girl doing? She's dancing. There's Excel. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Like, what's happening? And I was doing cool things. I was matching, like, you know, create a drop down menu to drop it like it's hot by Snoop Dogg. We're freezing ourselves. The ice baby by Vanilla Ice. Yeah, I was just having a good time. Yeah. And so, you know, it was a great creative expression for me too. Cause yes, I'm a tech nerd, but like, this was a cool way to like bring music and dance and creativity into it. So I keep posting these videos. It keeps going viral on these different platforms. Next thing you know, I have like a few 100,000 followers on TikTok, on Instagram, 0 business, 0 mailing list, 0 link in the bio. And looking back now, I'm like, and so this business coach slides into my DMs, who actually had been working with Just Rose. So like, that's how I ended up meeting her in the long run. And so this guy, Jake, slides into my DMs, and he's like, hey, so I noticed, you know, you got a lot of followers over there, but you don't have a business model. You're not selling anything. What do you do over there?
How's your bank account feeling?
Yeah, like, you're just posting free videos every day for the last 4 months just to help people. Like, that's great, but like, you could build a business around this. So I did a couple meetings with him, you know, got the basics down. I had the Linktree, the MailChimp, you know, the freebie, going to the link in the bio, all the things. And I start growing, like, you know, a little mailing list. And then I got the energetic hit where I'm like, okay, what is the next logical thing to sell if I were to build this business? And it would be an Excel course, right? Like, people are asking for it, people want it. But I'm like, this can't just be like an Excel course. This needs to be the coolest, most fun, entertaining Excel course, because if you look at my content, your girl cannot have a boring course.
Right. No.
Yeah. So I take 2 weeks off from my day job at this point, and I'm on vacation in my living room, and I start building out the most fun, entertaining Excel course I could possibly think of. So I'm sitting there just like infusing it with creativity. I'm like, how could I take them on field trips? If we have a hiking boot example, I'm taking them to the desert, like I'm just trying to make it really entertaining because, the whole Jim Quick learning method, the memory plus information plus emotion equals memory.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where like I needed that emotional piece. I needed to spark that emotion in them so that way they'll actually learn and they'll actually remember. So I want them laughing. I want them paying attention. I want to be on the screen with them, like hanging out. So I filmed this course and I edited 100 videos myself. And in that 2-week period, I kind of mapped it all out, filmed everything, edited everything, and launched it on Black Friday. Because, in my head, I'm like, this is a great idea. So I launched it on Black Friday 2020. And, I had a little Thinkific site up. I designed my website myself. I was like a straight one-woman show at the moment.
Wow.
And so I built all of it out and I started selling it. And next thing you know, within a few weeks, it was bringing in more money every month than my day job was.
Wow.
And I had like a 6-figure salary at a consulting firm. I was like, what is going on here? And I was like, okay, Miss Excel, now that this evergreen course is built, it takes literally like 10 hours a week for me to make this content. My day job's taking 40, 50 hours a week. I would be dangerous with that time back in my schedule.
Absolutely.
So I had a moment with myself and I was like, I think I'm going to quit my job. And I had never quit a job before. Like I interned at this company. I loved this company. I worked with them. I love my team. But I was like, this is definitely holding me back right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had all of my classic matrix people in my head being like, oh, what are you going to do about like 401k, insurance, like benefits, hello, you can't just like quit your job. Like you made like $10,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm going to take the bet on me. Because if I know with 100% certainty that I am not going to give up on myself, I have a 100% success rate, do I not? And that's really how I explained it to people. And I also looked at like, if on the other side of this, you have everything you ever wanted, would you sit there or would you do it? And that's where I was like, I know that I'm in this flow state right now. I know that miracles are happening all around me. I need to just do this for me. So I quit my job January 2021. So it's 2 months after starting to sell my little courses there. And then I was like, okay, I have this time back. What am I going to do? I built 9 more courses across all the Microsoft Office suite. And then I built a Google Sheets course, a kids course, an AI course. And I just start stacking and bundling these courses because one of the things, I surround myself with lots of business coach friends and they were like, you need a higher price point to really start scaling this thing, So I bundled 9 courses together and hit that $1,000 mark and started doing webinars. And I was so nervous for my first webinar because everything I've been doing is evergreen. And, coming live to something is where you're really showing up.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah. And like, I grew up with a severe anxiety disorder. I hated having any attention on me. I could not public speak to save my life. So this was really me showing up in that space that I'd been hiding from for 27 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what though? I wanted to get the financials up. I wanted to hit the 6-figure mark at the time. That was like really what I was going for. And I also had the attention of Business Insider at the time, which I was manifesting press, and they had reached out and they wanted numbers and they wanted proof of numbers. And I'm like, I want this to be a 6-figure business before this rolls out in the press. So that kind of like helped me make the move into doing the webinars. So I taught myself Webinar Jam, built out a webinar. Mike, my partner, was one of the #1 ranked sales reps in North America. He's incredibly gifted at sales. And so he's actually on my team now. And it's amazing. And so he like primed me up. He like sat me down. Cause I remember before this, if someone told me I couldn't do something, I'd be like, oh yeah, they're right. I can't do that. Where he would always be like, no, that fuels me up, and I was never like that. And so he was, like beating on my subconscious. He's like, no, like you need to go. You know how well these courses work. You know how many people you can help. And he helped me craft my pitch, craft the sale. I get on my first webinar. I crushed it. Makes like $50,000. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'd never seen that much money like in my life.
Yeah. Especially come in all at once.
Yeah. And I was freaking out. And, because most of my money was going to my student loans. And I couldn't leave my parents' house. So at that point I was like, whoa.
You're like, how many webinars can I do in a day?
And that's when it really began.
Okay.
And then I started, scaling and doing more and more webinars and bundling things together and changing topics. And then the press started really picking up on what I was doing, because I went to Bell Rock in Sedona. I live in Sedona, and that's one of my favorite little manifesting spots. And I was calling in like bigger press, bigger opportunities. And it just so happened with like the timing and the alignment, and I didn't realize this is how it was going to happen, but I was on Nilay Patel's podcast for The Verge, and I had just had my first 6-figure day.
Oh my God.
From a webinar. And I was, just so happens 2 days later, he was interviewing me and it came up. And that headline from the podcast just went viral across the media, and like 50 global news outlets picked up my story. Next thing you know, it was everywhere. And that's where too, like I really started learning about balancing my nervous system to be able to hold all that energy. Cause now I was like, this is why some celebrities go crazy, because it's like when you have that many people judging you and pointing eyes on you, like makes you a little wild there. And so that's where I started doubling down on the spiritual work again, because my nervous system, like I was shaky and stuff, like even though like it was all digital, you can still feel that.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I started, really learning and growing from that experience. That was now around like 2022. And then I just continued to kind of scale and grow the business from there.
Okay. So I love the story, and I wanted you to tell this story because we had chatted about all of the success that you've experienced. And obviously as people are listening to this, they're like, how though? Like, if I tried to do that, I'd be so nervous.
Yeah.
I'd be freaked out at so many points. And it's not that you weren't. That's what we want to go back to, is all of the different times that you felt crazy, that you were worried about what people were thinking, that every single thing before you hit post, because that takes a lot of those moments of, here we go. Oh God, here we go. Tell me about how you started to be the person who could just hit post, not care as much, even though of course we still care, we're human. But the other thing, you guys, that she is really into that we're going to dive into is I wanted her to tell the story so that we could get to the real story of what she believes is the entire like spine of what your business is. So what do you believe is the foundation for all of this success when you really look back on it?
Such a great way to put it, the spine of the business. It really is energetics and manifestation and bringing yourself into energetic alignment. Now, there are tons of tools out there, and it's really a matter of, this is what I'd encourage people to do, is find something that resonates with you and what works for you. For some people, they might look at me doing Kundalini yoga and be like, does not resonate for me. Like, I'm not trying to chant some Sanskrit mantras up in my room at 6 a.m.
Not into the white head wrap. I'm
good. All the things, right? And, I would encourage people too, though, to like, no, nothing's that rigid. Like I kind of just, it's kind of like a mixology class of life. And I just kind of made my own little special beverage. And so I kind of went through and picked and chose like different things that worked really well for me.
When you say worked really well, how did you know they worked well?
They made me money. They made me happy. They made me show up as myself. Because if we like rewind it back, I missed like an entire year of school in middle school because I was so scared to leave my house.
We have so much of that in common. Just tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah.
That experience.
So it really started with separation anxiety when I was really little. And I just was terrified to go to school. I was terrified to be a human. Like I was just so scared I was going to die all the time.
What made you afraid of everything? Do you remember?
I really don't know. I think I just came to the planet and was like,
it's just who I was.
I was just scared. And I was super scared of just like getting in trouble. I was scared of doing something wrong. I was really just scared of everything. And I just like to come home and like play The Sims in my house and like build my little reality that I can control. I obviously psychoanalyzed the hell out of that. As I got older, I'm like, why did I like The Sims so much? But it was really because I could build this little world where I was in control of it and what was going on, where the anxiety was the unknown. I didn't know what happened when I went to school. What if I like died? I don't know, like in my head, I just had so many fears, so many many blocks. So then when it came to doing like normal things, like you give a presentation to your Spanish class, like I'd get up there and be shaking, bright red, like worst nightmare, thinking about it for weeks. And my body was just constantly in fight or flight, which is something I'm still working on now, like somatically releasing a lot of this because it was like in the way I was carrying myself still. So I've been doing a lot of body work lately on the physical in 2024 to release more of that because I'm very good at rewiring the mind, but my body needs to like catch on up here. Yeah. So like there was just a lot going on the anxiety front. And then as I got older, I started, I went to therapy. I was like doing all the things and not really in the spiritual realm, more of like the 3D matrix realm with that. And, I still had it, but it was showing up differently as I got older. By the time I got to college, it was more so like people pleasing, feeling really uncomfortable in my own skin. I had a ton of acne, so I was always like pounding on tons of makeup and like kind of hiding myself. It was really just, classic corporate stuff too, like imposter syndrome, never feeling good enough. And I was just really in my own head. So like I was able to show up for things and a lot of people wouldn't know on the outside what I'm going through on the inside because I'm really good at hiding it. Even if like, I have a panic attack doing a presentation, nobody knows because I'm just very good at like the show goes on and then afterwards I'm like, So that was really something I worked through a lot of, but it was still like deeply rooted in me by the time I got to doing this inner work. And that's where I finally started to like shuttle some of it out. So I stopped playing small because I literally would have been still probably buried in student debt in my childhood bedroom right now. Like, doing the linear way of life that I had been taught and conditioned to believe that like this is what success has to look like. And I had never seen quantum success before. And I didn't realize, you can work 4 hours a week and make millions of dollars and travel and have everything you want to. Like that was never modeled for me. So it really came down to getting rid of the conditioning, getting myself out of this fight or flight all the time. And then that's where the magic was able to come through. And I was super receptive to all these different modalities. And I started kind of soaking it up and seeing, okay, like, I did this Kundalini mantra right before a webinar. It did really well. I don't know,
And so is that what it started to look like? Was it? Okay. So for someone right now who's listening, because there's a lot of people who they're either want to be entrepreneurs, they're entrepreneurs, or they're, they want us, everybody wants to scale. That's why you're listening to this podcast. We want to grow. Personally, we want to grow our business. So someone is listening going, wait, I still have a lot of anxiety around X, or I would love to take a massive quantum leap. We're actually talking a lot about that on the podcast right now, which is super exciting, just like 10Xing where you're going. So somebody's ready to take a quantum leap. They want to know exactly what they should be doing every day. Like, what does that look like? And I know that you can't give them the modality, but what did that look like for you? What are the things you made sure that you did every day or before your trainings? Tell me those things.
Totally. And I mean, the first thing is the gift of awareness. If you are aware that you have this anxiety holding you back, that is a huge step.
We're aware.
Yeah. Like having the awareness of like the blocks and then really coming through to this point too, is when you have thoughts come in that you feel are holding you back, creating that space in between you and the thought. So you're not just immediately emotionally having it. So for example, if it's like, oh, I can't do that podcast. And a lot of people just take the thought and be like, okay, like I can't do the podcast.
Yeah.
Where I would challenge you in those moments to really start identifying those thoughts, creating that space. And then once you have the awareness of like the exact particulars that are holding you back, like so anxiety might be like a blanket term, but like I had little thoughts being like, well, you can't do this because of this, And once you kind of get really clear on those, that's the first gift because that kind of gives you a little roadmap of what you get to work on. And it's a matter of, we could figure this stuff out when we're 80 or never, right? Like some people just, I am the way I am. I'm a stubborn person, and they just carry that with them. Or a lot of people just don't realize due to neuroplasticity, we can all just rewire what we don't like about ourselves.
If you follow my social media, you guys know that I have been talking about the importance of growing a list and owning your audience and converting all your people from social, because there is so much unpredictability in the world that we really need to be able to control what we can control. And that's why Constant Contact's award-winning marketing platform is here to make marketing way easier and way more effective for small businesses like yours and like mine. And the best part, you don't need to know anything about marketing. So your struggle with expensive, slow, and unmeasurable marketing is over, because with their all-in-one platform, you can create and manage attention-grabbing campaigns in just a few clicks. Email, text, social media, events, landing pages, you name it, it's all in one place. No more juggling dozens of different tools, because Constant Contact's AI content generator helps you turn a rough idea into a ready-to-go message faster than ever. And with hundreds of customizable templates, it's easy to make something that looks and reads like your brand. So pricing is transparent and based on your contact list. So if you're only paying for what you need, there's no surprises. And with a 97% email deliverability rate, your messages land far from spam, which is huge, so that you have control over that audience, you guys. That's why over 500,000 small businesses trust Constant Contact to stay connected, top of mind, and ahead of the competition. Constant Contact is helping the small businesses stand tall. You guys, Constant Contact is something that so many of the people that I work with in our masterminds use and are obsessed with. So I'm so glad that we found Constant Contact. So get a free 30-day trial when you go to constantcontact.com. Try Constant Contact free for 30 days at constantcontact.com. That's constantcontact.com. If you're running a business, you know that every time you miss a call or communication with a customer, that you are leaving money on the table, except it's not sustainable to be available 24/7. That's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that streamlines and scales your customer communications. It works through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or using a landline. With OpenPhone, your team can share one number and collaborate on customer calls and texts like a shared inbox. That way, any teammate can pick up right where the last one left off, keeping response times faster than ever and making this feel incredible for your customer. Plus, say goodbye to voicemail. Their AI agent can be set up in minutes to handle calls after hours, answer questions, and capture leads so that you never miss a customer. So whether you're a one-person operation drowning in calls and texts or have a large team that needs better collaboration tools, OpenPhone is a no-brainer. See why over 60,000 businesses trust OpenPhone. OpenPhone is offering my listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/earn. That's openphone.com/earn, openphone.com/earn. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. I get asked all the time what it was like to pivot from digital products, books, events into a physical product, a consumer package product. And I will say it was one of the biggest learning curves of my entire life, not to mention hiring a team who has a background in this and just everything that I have to learn about getting a physical product out into the world and how to acquire customers with it. But let me tell you one thing that was super easy, and that was my e-commerce platform in choosing it, because I had heard so many amazing things about Shopify. It just made my choice so much easier, because Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. And 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands that are just getting started, including Glossy. So get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style, which if you go look at mine, you'll see it's totally on brand with Glossy. Accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. You can get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. You can easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/happy. Go to shopify.com/happy, shopify.com/happy.
Okay, so let's go back to your original thought. I can't do TikTok. Tell me about how you created the space, but how did you actually set up your day to be like, okay, how could I do this? What would that look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, the first reason that was coming through, and a lot of times your subconscious will try to hide the true thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially if it thinks you're going to tell somebody. So what came through first for me was, I can't go on TikTok. I have a corporate job. So I had this like image in my head that I had to keep up. And when I thought about TikTok, I thought about like girls in crop tops busting it. And like, yes, I did go on to do that myself. But, you know, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, let's go deeper. Why? Why can't you do that? Well, people will think I'm unprofessional. Why is that a bad thing? If people think you're unprofessional, it won't get me hired. Oh, why wouldn't you be hired? Oh, I wouldn't make money. Oh, why wouldn't you get money? Because then, you know, I need money to live. And it comes down to like scarcity. Like, you know, it's like two totally different things. Like I have a corporate job. I'm scared this will make me go broke.
Yes.
You know, like two totally different thought forms. So a lot of times the subconscious will try to hide it. So I always first try to like unbury it. And I'm like, all right, what's really going on here? And then I start whipping out tools. And we live in the Aquarian age. Like there are so many tools at our fingertips. We have the internet. Like there's just everything. We are inundated with knowledge everywhere, constantly, phones, devices. Like I started taking just like an hour a day and like researching things. And I was researching all across the board. Like at one point I went down like a hair rabbit hole and I'm researching like hair tutorial. I was like, what can I do to make myself feel better, to make myself look better, to make myself, you know, like feel on that highest timeline and aligned to it. So I'd spend like an hour a day doing research. And that's why I started coming across these different modalities. And then it's a matter of just finding things that work really well for you. So for example, for me, when it came to inner child work, I'm like, what? I'm just going to like close my eyes and like talk to mini me out here. Like, well, what's that all about? Yeah. And I didn't realize that like, if you get yourself into a hypnotic state through self-hypnosis and you're inside of those theta brainwaves, it becomes way easier to reprogram those limiting beliefs. And by reprogram, if people are like, what does she keep saying? Like, are we doing like a lobotomy out here? Reprogramming, essentially what I was doing through that modality is I would see a memory of myself in my childhood. So for example, I had this memory of me in preschool, hugging my teddy bear, crying. I talked to my mom about it, which very interesting thing to do inner child work in your parents' house. And I come out of my room one day and she's just like, Kathleen, that was one day, but I don't remember the other days because it wasn't traumatizing. So remember, like information plus emotion equals memory, like no memory. Right. So what you do is you essentially envision a normal day of preschool where I got there and I was happy, and that neutralizes the electromagnetic charge of the memory that is currently manifesting in your reality. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I started going through, and instead of having this like remembering that time, like some kind of traumatizing time, I would then remember all the other days. And it just kind of evened it out. So I went through so many iterations. I did like 80 times of doing this morning, night. I did it for 40 days. And I was just clearing stuff. And then I'll never forget, 2 months before I started Miss Excel, so it wasn't even a thought in my mind, I came out of my childhood bedroom and my mom was in the living room and I'm like, Mom, I'm going to be rich and famous soon, so I need you to prepare your nervous system for that. And I was like dead ass, genuinely concerned about her. I was like, you don't even know what's about to happen. Like, and I'm like, I have to warn my mom. And I didn't even have a business. I didn't even have an idea.
What did she say?
She was like, Kathleen, go clean your room. And like, I've since retired my mom, and we're now like working through these beliefs together. And I'm still constantly like helping her, because for her, this has been incredibly traumatic as well, because like she always saw me in one way, and she saw me as this like scared little kid my whole life, and like scarcity. And, you know, like I was helping pay my parents' bills at one point. And like, you know, it was one of those things where I'm like, we don't have to do that anymore, Mom. Like, you know, and that like, so it's been fun reprogramming on the other side with her too. Cause like, I mean, this is a yogic teaching, but essentially when you heal yourself, you go in and heal 7 generations forward and 7 generations back.
I fully believe that and feel it. I've watched how, you know, the people in my life who've healed themselves, and myself doing a lot of the work too. It's like I watch the people around all of us heal themselves or get better in some way, even if it's a small way. If you can think about it right now, like all of the people that you've been around by doing this work, you're like, wow, they've really made some big changes. Okay, so let's put that into a term that someone can grab onto, because I love this, because I'm like taking this into a couple things in my life right now. Okay, so we think of the fear.
Yeah.
And then we ask why. So we try to find the root. So it's just like, why, till you go, oh, that's the one. And then on that one, we picture it, but then we replace it with a similar thought, like a similar positive thought. How would you say that?
That's a great idea. So you can go in and, you know, kind of flip the narrative on it and just have, you know, a different affirmation that you could go through. But then I would also kind of look at like, what is the root of that? Like sometimes when you think about it and you look at that memory, like you'll get you'll get like a jolt of like something from childhood where you're like, well, you know, this one time when I was little, like this happened and I got yelled at for it. And maybe that's why, you know, and if you're having things like that pop up where like your subconscious is literally showing you the memories, I would definitely go in and try to work on those. Okay. And in terms of working on those, so many modalities, but one that worked really well for me is, you know, subconscious reprogramming. So like kind of going in and really showing your subconscious there could be another way. Another great one's hypnosis. I just did RRT yesterday for 3 days in a row, rapid resolution therapy, where he would put me into a hypnotic state and help me work through different blocks I was still having now. So like there's just so many fun things out there that I'm always just encouraging people to like try. And if it doesn't work, try something else, you know?
So here's what I love. Like you've thrown out a lot of different tools that maybe people are like, I don't know what that is, but you can Google it.
Oh, yeah.
And you can most likely find somebody online who could do it online, right? Because I know that sometimes I would listen to these podcasts where people would tell me all of these different things that I could do. And I'd be like, where do I find that person? Do I have to go in person? Do I have to go see this person over in Brazil? Or what is that? And it felt like such a big journey from where I was, but you did all this in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Like you would just go Google something or try to figure it out and try it.
Yeah.
And see what works. And you're like, oh, I'm going to try this for a while. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I think that actually worked because I'm able to show up to that webinar, or I actually posted that video. And that's the thing about self-work is it's not some giant proof all at once. It's like, oh my God, I posted the video. I actually did it.
Yeah.
And then when all the comments come rolling in, you're like, more self-work needed.
That's really like, if you're online, you're on social media, that is one of the best ways to identify any of these limiting beliefs you have. It's actually a gift because when you get negative comments, right? If you get ones where you know deep down that it is absolutely not true. Like someone gave me this example once. If I'm like, Lori, you are a blue frog.
Yeah.
Would you be like, oh, she called me a blue frog. Like, do people think I'm a blue frog? You know, and like you're internalizing it, right? You know, you're not a blue frog. So then it's like, okay, have a nice day. You know, where if someone says something to you and it hits, that's where it's like, okay, a little piece of me believes that this could be true.
Believes that I'm not smart enough. Believes that I'm not pretty. Believes that I'm not, that I'm a fraud. Believes that this was all just dumb luck. All of those things.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about that because you were talking about how you have had to just continue to go in energetically in order to expand your business. So really, whenever your business has grown, it's been because you have gone back and done more work. So tell me a little bit about that. Can you remember specific times when you've hit ceilings and gone back in and done certain work and your business has grown even more?
Absolutely. And this is one of those things too, that I feel like goes hand in hand with the entrepreneurial narrative where it's like, you know, you got to work hard and do strategy and all these quantitative things.
Yeah. I find myself in that a lot too. And I'm even like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me more.
My business is like 90% just me being in a flow state, 10% strategy. Like nobody really knows this about me, but I did not track a thing in my business. And yes, I teach Excel and have a million spreadsheets for everything, but not for my business.
Wow.
I didn't track a thing for like the first year. People are like, how are you making all this money? Where are these leads coming from? Like I had intuitive thoughts. I'm like, it just comes through. And I would just get into this flow state and things would happen. And it kind of is a blessing and a curse doing it that way. Cause one, like yes, it is good to know your numbers. I did go on and make spreadsheets later, but it's one of those things where I was so open to all the possibilities of how I can make money that I literally, I would never know the how. And then these opportunities would come out of left field. So I wasn't being like, I have to have this much growth and make this by this date, have this linear growth. Like that's playing in the linear field. And I just never played in that field because I never entered the arena because I didn't have my numbers. So I just kind of went into it like money was flowing out of left field, like huge opportunities, like every corporate deal I've had, every press opportunity I've had, like has fallen on my lap.
So you've never gone out for outreach, for PR, for any of that, for speaking gigs? You've never sent an email?
No.
You've never, this is why I wanted to have this conversation.
I was manifesting this. And here we are.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, I reached out to you. I love that. Okay. So when you go back in and quote unquote, like do the work, this is just you every single day. Like my brain immediately wants to go, okay, but did you put a goal in mind? What were kind of like the words that you're using? How are you manifesting these bigger opportunities? I want to know like verbatim, what are the things that you're kind of saying? What feelings are you holding when you're doing it? So tell me about what you've done in the last week.
Yeah. So
to manifest
really
opportunities.
Is coming down to the thought process of I'm limitless. Because when you realize that you're limitless, the only thing you could possibly have as a limit is you holding yourself back. So as long as I'm staying out of my own way, like I know the channels are open, I know anything can come through. And then it's a matter of like working with what you got. So for example, I was in Sedona last week. There are tons of different power points on the planet that are energy vortexes. When you go into the energy vortexes, you can help those manifestations come through a lot quicker. I have like, I should be like tracking all this in a notebook, but I have so many examples of like times where I sat on Bell Rock, which is an upward energy vortex. They measure it, scientists with devices, and it's an upward energy vortex where I would sit there and I was like, okay, I really want some more presses. Right when I was starting out, I was like, I really want Forbes. I want to be in Forbes. And I like planted the seed. I thought about it. And then a few weeks later, out of nowhere, a writer at Forbes named me one of the top social media influencers. And it blew, I was like, what? Like, he didn't even talk to me. Like, I didn't even know, like someone sent it to me. Like, and I was like, what? Like, that's like the type of things where like, when I get into, you know, energy vortexes or playing around with those PowerPoints on the planet, like if you're in one or you're around one, that's something I always recommend too. And there's some that go up. So like good for manifesting. There's others that go down, like Hawaii, for example, very good for inner work. But I was like crying every day when I lived in Hawaii for a couple months. Okay. Yeah. So there's different parts of the planet that you can play around with too. And then if you're just, you know, sitting in your room like I was starting out, I would just start playing with different tools and finding what you need that day. So some days you wake up and you're feeling mighty fine. That might be a day where you're like, okay, I'm just going to have a dance party. I'm going to get the energy moving through my body and I'm going to hop on the mic and here we go. And then you have other days where you're like, wake up with like dark thoughts and you're like, okay, what does my body need? And it really comes down to knowing yourself and knowing your body and your nervous system, so that you can really go through. And now when it comes to manifesting money, this is where I like to do in particular nervous system work, because your body and your nervous system will only bring in as much abundance as you can hold. And you can tell if you're reaching a threshold. For me, at least, my body's very responsive. So like, for example, when I started like blowing up in the press that time, like it was millions of eyeballs, like millions. I couldn't even read them. Like it was millions of comments on all these articles. It was just like, it was on TV. Like I was literally like, okay, my hands are shaking. I was like, my right eye kept twitching. Like my nervous system was glitching out because it was
I
so
feel
much
it
energy.
thinking about it right now. Yeah. I actually like just got chills down part of my body. That's crazy.
It's a lot on the nervous system. So that's where there are tons of different nervous system practices. There's so many different things you could do to soothe a nervous system. From one, obviously meditation, Kundalini yoga has a bunch of different nervous system practices I do. Breath work is huge for the nervous system. Even just a quick little thing is like left nostril breathing. You block your right nostril. When you're breathing through the left side, it is going into the right side of the brain and is relaxing your body. So like just little things to kind of bring yourself into relaxation. There's teas. I went to an herbalist about like nervous system teas. Like there's just so many different things out there. So for me, like I just kind of like latch on to whatever feels good in the moment. So for me and like my latest up levels, I did RRT the last like few days because I'm like, okay, like I feel there's different thought forms holding me back in place from really expanding my nervous system.
And RRT was the one, explain that one. And you do that with someone, right?
Yeah. So I did that with Dr. John Connolly. It's rapid resolution therapy. I actually learned about it from Catherine Zinkina from Manifestation Babe. She works with him. So that's a way to do it too, with like a hypnotic element as well. So I've also worked with like hypnotists where, you know, I can go through and reprogram different beliefs too. But the RRT really helped me work on, you know, being seen and showing up. And that's where I felt myself like getting to this next level. I was holding myself back a little bit. So I did a really big keynote last March. And I'm the type of person where, you know, I get all like high and mighty on myself. I'm like, I could do anything. And I'll just commit myself to things that scare the shit out of me. And like, that's how I grow. And I know that's how I grow.
But then the window in between the commitment and the thing, are you like, is that like a nightmare time period for you?
It's tough. So like I feel the nightmare setting in and I'm like, all right, we got tools for this. So I try not to let myself like go into it.
So what were you afraid of before that big keynote?
So I hadn't done anything in person in like years. I was doing everything behind a screen. Yeah. And I got asked to be the keynote at Social Media Marketing World conference.
Great.
And I was like, oh. And I said yes before I knew I was a keynote too. So it already felt scary to be a speaker. And then they're like, oh yeah. I was like, you're the keynote. Oh my God. I was like, excuse me. I haven't given a keynote in my life.
In your life.
I didn't say that. I was just like, okay. Like,
okay, so
I'll
you
take the
said
bet on
yes
me.
to
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the, like a huge conference.
Huge,
where
thousands
you
of
would be
people.
looked at as the expert. You hadn't been in
Of
public,
social media marketing.
and you hadn't never done a keynote.
I've been on social media for like 2 years at the time, and I get to.
There's room for a lot of imposter syndrome there.
Oh my gosh. Because
Okay.
the best was, I was like, okay, they gave me the slot that was at like 5 p.m. And I'm like, oh gosh, I have to go all day. And I'm like an extroverted introvert. Like, and these conferences drain the hell out of me. And I was like, okay, like I'm not going to go all day, but Mike Seltzer's giving the keynote, for the intro one, I'm going to go. So I go to it and he goes, raise your hand if you've been in social media for over 5 years. Whole room, raise your hand.
And you're the keynote.
And
So
then
that's
they
a
go,
freak out
raise your hand if
moment.
it's been over 10 years, and everyone slows their hand up. And I'm like, Mike, we're fucked. I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to get up here and tell these people how to do their job. And I was so much, it's like laughable now. It was so much imposter syndrome. And I'm like, it's okay. We're fine. We're going to do this. So I go back to my hotel room. I'm like gathering myself, and it's pretty wild. So I'm friends with Grace Smith, and she's a celebrity hypnotist. She's awesome. And out of nowhere, she got the intuitive hit to just call me. We hadn't talked in weeks. And she's like, hey, like my guides are telling me to call you. And I'm like, oh,
Because I'm freaking out, man.
It pretty much makes sense. I'm about to be seen so hard, like 0 to 100 here. And so she actually put me under and hypnotized me before it. And I got up on stage, and it was crazy because like I was sitting in the audience. They didn't bring me up for like 40 minutes. So I'm sitting there mic'd up. I'm just waiting for them to announce me. That's the time where you can mess
Because they're
yourself
running behind.
up.
Yeah.
That's the time where you could like freak yourself out. And then they call me up to the stage. I have J-Lo playing, which for a while I couldn't even listen to the song Get Right by J-Lo. And so I have like red jumpsuit on. I'm like, dance. I get up on the stage. I just start busting it down and like dancing. And I practiced this so many times, like probably 40 times. And I'm like, you can't dance so hard that you get out of breath. And you can't. That's the hardest
done that
part.
and totally wrecked myself.
Yes. I'm like, cannot wreck thyself. Must get up there and
Like,
breathe.
now you're going to pass out. Great job. Legit.
We got this. And so I got up there, and it was really crazy because it was also one of those moments where I don't think they realized how tall I was, or this might actually happen every time, but the lights hit direct in my eyes. Like it was like one of those scenes where you see someone at like the spelling bee on TV, and like they see the lights in their eyes and they can't see shit.
Yeah.
Like that was me up there. So I get up there, I literally cannot see a damn thing. And I'm like, the show must go on. And luckily I'd practiced so many times. My body's really good at going into autopilot. I crushed it. People said, like, I got off the stage after everyone said I did amazing, but for me, it was terrifying. It was hands down the scariest thing I'd ever done, because I, for 45 minutes, had to, like I timed it to a T. It turned out perfectly, but it was one of those things where like afterwards I was like, whoa, like the most insane vulnerability hangover ever. And like I had to go right to a speaker party after. So I'm like hopping on a bus. People
you don't get to hear how you did really. You're just like, you don't get the rundown.
I couldn't see it, couldn't watch it. So it was one of those things where like that was like something where I went from like 0 to 100 really hard.
That's like a 10x leap. So when you think about that, because I've had experiences like that where I'm like, I don't want to do that again.
Yes.
I don't want to go through that again.
Yes.
So what are you doing? Because I have a couple things like that where I'm like, ooh, I can do it. I will do it again. I'm going to say yes, but I don't want it to be the same experience where I'm like scared, I'm frantic, my nervous system is freaking out. I want to go in with ease. So help me.
Yes.
What are you doing?
So I did go through that period for the next like few months. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I was kind of in tears because I was like, why is this my destiny path? Like I know that every cell in my body knows I'm meant to be on a stage.
Yes.
Like,
So why am I experiencing this like trauma?
So hard?
Yes. Okay.
I literally wrote my kindergarten yearbook that I wanted to be a rock star. And my dream was to like be on a stage. And then with all the conditioning I had, I ended up like hiding my whole life. And I was like, why does the destiny path have to be so hard?
Yeah.
And I let myself grovel for a little bit. I gave myself a few months. We were living out in Laguna Beach. I was just like, going by the ocean, relaxing. And then I was like, all right, we're not playing this hiding game. Like this is not how we can help the most people on the planet. We got to get out and talk to the people. So I was like, okay. Because it actually too was showing up on my digital events. So like I was running like webinars with like, thousands of people, like, and I would
You're
get
starting
on
to
there,
feel that way too.
and I would feel the fear in my chest start to like bubble up because my body remembered what it felt like. So that's really where too, like I do recommend with anything like an instant like trauma like that, the somatic work's been helping me a lot. Like I was working all on the mind and I was like, wait, my body's what's having this reaction though.
When you say somatic work, for people who don't know what that is, what is somatic work?
Working on the body. So for example, I go to the Sky. I'm actually going tomorrow where we do body work, where it's like a massage, but he also can like see and feel the energy and like move things out.
Where does one find someone like that? If they're like, I'm in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Massage Envy.
Yeah.
Where do we go? How do we find that?
There's a lot of people online. So Jacob Massey's who I work with, and he actually has it like online too through Zoom. I do biofield tuning completely remotely too, which is where someone uses those tuning forks to tune your energy field. I do that weekly and I do that completely remotely as well. So there's a lot of remote things you could do over Zoom too, but then that's just like having a practitioner do work on you. You can also do it yourself. So that's through breath work and really getting through and feeling in your body. Another rabbit hole I just went down recently too was in the Ayurvedic system where I was learning about my doshas at the Miraval. We were going to, I love the Miraval. And so I was learning about all the different like doshas and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so vata and that's the one that's air. So I'm like not in my body most of the time. So then when I go to do something on stage, my soul just like taps out and I'm just like not in my body.
Oh yeah.
So I just got really into grounding and bought all these grounding mats because, you know, most of the time we're outside, we got shoes on, we're not grounding into the earth. So that's where I was like, okay, that might be where I personally am missing the mark because I have so much air in the body with my doshas. I'm like, I need to be grounding. So really grounding, yoga, you know, all like physical body stuff, working out. Like I had stopped working out during that period because I was getting like migraines and I was all tense. Got back with my trainer, Pilates, hot yoga. Like I've been just like layering in dance class last night.
Yeah.
Like I've been just like layering in all the different physical body stuff too. Because that's a big part of manifesting more money. You need a strong physical body to be able to hold all of that because there's a lot that's going to show up like for the nervous system and your physical body needs to be able to hold it. And that was something I was missing, especially in 2023. So now in 2024, like I'm really going through and working on the physical as well.
Okay. Wow. This is so exciting. I love it.
I just got back from speaking at a friend's event in Canada. And while we were there, it was the perfect time to catch up with friends and also meet a bunch of new friends that we haven't gotten to spend any time with yet. So we got to have some amazing experiences. Like, you guys, listen to this. We got to drive supercars all through the country. And Chris got to drive his ultimate dream car. And if you don't know, I'm a huge wake surfer. So we got to do that, which is one of my favorite activities. And also my other favorite activity, which is catching up over dinners at our friends' homes. And the conversations were so incredible when you meet like-minded people. I think that was my favorite part. But when Chris and I are traveling like this for work and making memories, we love the idea of someone else getting to enjoy our properties, to catch up with friends and make their own special memories like the ones that we had while we make a little extra cash. And now Airbnb has a co-host network that can help with hosting details for you. With the co-host network, you can hire quality local co-hosts to support you with everything from creating your listing to managing reservations, messaging guests, and more. Find a co-host at airbnb.com/host.
What is something that you want to share with people who you feel like maybe they could just start small? Let's go for someone who's a beginner and let's maybe see for somebody who's been doing this for a while, maybe give them something else as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're a beginner, I would say start with something basic. Like, you know, you could start with Headspace. A lot of people start there on like meditation apps. You know, if you're not trying to do some kind of like wild, intense meditation experience, I do recommend the retreats too. Like that's really how I got my feet wet. In
I
this
love
whole
retreats.
space.
Yeah. Because they hold you. It's a space where you can kind of just show up, not know, be nervous, let it be okay to be weird. And it holds you. Yeah.
And like the community and the people you meet. Because you know, you're the result of the people you surround yourself with.
Amen.
And if you're surrounding yourself with people who are on that same wavelength, who are vibrating at that same frequency, so are you. So that's really a big part of it too, is like finding a little accountability buddy is something I always recommend also. Like I started digging into all this, subconscious reprogramming with my friends. And then my partner Mike did it too, actually. We both went through it together, which was really awesome. And that's kind of, what we do now too. Like he comes on a lot of my retreats and things like that. And we just work through it together. And then if someone who's already, more into this space, I would recommend really being open, because that was something where I was like kind of set in like the few things I was doing and they were working really well, but I wanted to grow and was kind of like holding myself back from trying other modalities. So if you are pretty in this space and you're like, well, I'm a Kundalini yoga practitioner and that's what I do. Like I would recommend still like kind of learning about other modalities and branching out, because you'll be surprised too. Like I had been studying a lot of the Kundalini yoga, and then I went to Dr. Joe's event and it connected so many dots for me. And I was like, whoa, like this whole realm is connected. And it's a matter of like really figuring out what it takes for your mind to get that information in, connect those dots and apply it. I'm all about the application of these woo-woo concepts. And that's the next thing I'm building with Miss Optimize. I'm going through and building out here modalities and ways for people to really connect with this in a way that they haven't been before, and how to apply it to your life. Because to a lot of people, a lot of the things I'm saying right now are probably so woo-woo and so out there, and you're like, what, Kat, what are you doing? But like my goal is to try to, fit these into a box or into a modality where people can actually learn these things and start applying it and like show results. Yeah. Like I'm a walking advertisement for working on yourself, because I 1000% would not be here if I did not put in the time. And I was a very different person. Even when like Mike started dating me, we've been dating 8 years now. I'm like, even when we first like met, like I was a completely different human being than I am now. And so that's really where like, I want to show people you can change. You don't have to take things at face value anymore.
Well, I love your story because you are so linear as well. And you're taking these concepts that aren't. And to have someone like you who's creating something with Miss Optimize, which I'm so excited about. It's honestly, I'm sitting here going, I'm like your perfect customer, because I get super overwhelmed quickly. And I am so like, I'm very much airy. I need someone to go, let's just try this. And here's where you can do it. Because so many of us listening, we're so busy researching other things for our business as well, even though you did tell us if we spent more time researching these other things, we know. But I'm going to optimize my life by letting you optimize this for me. So that's amazing. Tell me what else. So Miss Optimize, where can we go to find that? And who is that perfect for? Who is that a perfect fit for?
So this is perfect for people who, one, are not really familiar with this space, but they think more is out there. Yeah. And my goal is to make this stuff really approachable, because I've been dabbling in so many different things, and I want to give you tidbit like pieces, like, okay, like if you do this, this will happen, and break these concepts down. Because a lot of these things in the more woo-woo space aren't even captured that well online. Like if you're trying to Google things, a lot of these are like ancient teachings being passed down and things like that. And I'm all about learning the things, but my thing is like, how can we apply it? How can we make our day-to-day better? How can we use this to make us money? Like that is the engine behind Miss Excel. Like it is its own entity. It's its own energetic entity. And I'm just feeding it. And I'm just doing all the different things so my nervous system can hold what she brings. And it's a matter of understanding the business. Yes, you need to know how your business works, or, even if it's in your day to day, like if you're at a corporate job right now, I use these techniques at my corporate job. So I would manifest and get on the jobs that I wanted to be on and not the ones I didn't, because I would travel every week and I would just, I'd get something on my calendar and I'm like, I don't want to go to Kentucky. And I would just sit there and like, be like, nope, I'm at Lake George that week. I'm at Lake George that week. And I would go in and like visualize it, see it, I have so many different examples of things that I've done. And I'm like, whoa, people need to know this. And like Miss Excel, like I feel like is just this walking advertisement for how well this stuff works. And we're just getting started. Yeah. Like we're about to scale so hard this year. And like, this is one of those things where I'm like, I want these people to have the tools, because a lot of it's just kind of in my head, or it comes out on podcasts. I was like, damn, like people don't know like this about me. And like, that's probably how I didn't meet you at first too. I'm like, she probably thinks I'm just this Excel girl, you know?
Like, oh, Excel, no.
Yeah, like I'm so more multidimensional than I portray online, because I kind of keep myself in this Excel box. And I had this revelation where at first I was going to do the whole like personal brand route. And then I was like, wait, this is a brand within itself. Like I'm going to be giving tips on how to optimize. And a lot of it will be through energetics and the more woo-woo concepts, but also just like travel tips, like things like tips for like not as much tech tips because more that falls under the Miss Excel umbrella, but like there's so many things I know too from like other aspects of just like optimizing my life, like scheduling, building things out. Like I just want people to be more optimized in their day to day.
Okay, so we're going to put that in the show notes. So you can go to Miss Optimize. You guys can just click down there and find all of her goodies. And she held back on some of the best content because it's going to be in the bonus portion of this. And all you have to do is go into show notes and click the bonus content. And you are going to teach us what?
I'm going to teach you how to leverage energetics to better manage your calendar.
Okay, hell yes, I need this. All right, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for coming on and just sharing the whole story. I know there's a lot there, and I know that this is also kind of one of the, this is your initial entry into Miss Optimize from Miss Excel, which is so exciting. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with me because this is a place that I'm at in my life. So I'm going to take a few of those things. And is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
I would say just one other piece with the listeners is the hands down one of the biggest things that helped me move so quickly is take messy action. Nothing needs to be perfect. Try shit. Do it.
Try shit. You heard it here.
Try shit.
You heard it here first, guys. Just try shit. When you change Nike's logo.
Words, parting words.
Miss Optimize. Just try shit.
Try shit.
Actually, it's really cute. All right, you guys, we're so grateful for you. And until next time, earn your happy. Bye, everyone.